Okay, guys and girls, I am going to be doing this video in a little bit different way where I'm kind of backwards typing. You'll see what I mean in a minute. The reason why is when I did this video originally, and yes, I had to do it twice. As you all know, because you're with me every day, the video did something strange and I couldn't undo what it was doing, so I had to just completely stop and then reassess myself and get back together. So, what I want to start back and say is that I hope that you found the topic of the zoetrope interesting, because I'm trying to be very intentional in the topics that I choose, so that on Wednesdays you can know two things. And that is, the first thing is, you're going to learn another step about how to write for third grade, and that that I'm going to take you step by step, little tiny steps, and so that I'm only asking you to do one additional thing from what I asked you to do the Wednesday before. And so if you follow along and you don't miss doing things on a Wednesday, you can always follow back and know that you've only had to do one additional step than you've done previously. And so you could always go back and watch any video that I have made on how to write paragraphs and follow those steps along if you needed to relearn how to do something. But the other thing I hope that you'll always look forward to on Wednesdays is that I'm not going to pick a boring topic. And so, like last Wednesday, you had the topic of the hurdy-gurdy. And so that's an instrument, but it wasn't a boring instrument. It was a very interesting instrument, the hurdy-gurdy. And for many of you, you probably never heard of one. And so today, by the time you've gotten to where you are now, watching me giving you this tutorial on how to do this next step for writing your paragraph, you will have already seen two little videos and read one little description pretty much about a zoetrope. And I hope that you found that fascinating. And I hope also that when you're finished doing your assignments today, maybe you'll take a few minutes and look into zoetropes a little bit more, and that you'll find out there's a lot more information out there. There's a lot more zoetrope stuff that you can see. You'll find that Pixar has actually learned how to do zoetropes by using little plastic models instead of the drawings, and has made some incredible images out there. And also, there are people who've made step-by-step instructions on how you can use pretty simple things you've got around the house and make your own zoetrope. So, education in the classroom only takes you so far, and then self-education can take you the rest of the way. So do try to learn more about some of these interesting topics. Okay, now we come to the part where we do our next steps. Now remember, the only way I can show you what I'm expecting from you is if I do it first, and then you know what it is I'm expecting. So yes, the downside to that is that when I do write a sentence, is that I have then taken away one of the options. So for example, if I write a sentence about a detail, well, now you can't use that detail because I've already used it. So I'm going to pick boring details so that you have the better ones or more interesting ones left for you to use. So I'm very careful about not hogging all the better things as I use examples to show you. So we're going to begin with me showing you, and it's going to take me a second to remember how to do. If I hit enter, oh no, that didn't do it. Let me hit backspace, or forward space, sorry. That should do it. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, that didn't do it like I thought it would. Somehow or another, I thought this might aggravate me a little bit trying to do what I'm doing, and yet it has. So let me see if I can figure this out. Because I had to backtrack a little bit today, of course, to get this to work the way I wanted it to. And I'm like, surely this will work out. If not, I'll figure it out, guys. I will figure this out one way or another. I'll just keep clicking. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. See, I just kept on until it did what I wanted to do. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it down. Oh, I went all the way back to hurdy-gurdy. I went way far back. I didn't want to go that far back. Let's see what I can do here. Y'all are so patient. And I really had this down to within the last couple of seconds, really, of this video when it really gave me a fit. And then it really did a number on me. And it's still trying to be like that a little bit. That's okay. I'm just going to keep on popping that button up there at the top till it sees things my way. Apparently it's not going to. And that's okay. Okay, I'm just going to go from here. Okay, so I'm going to make my own opening sentence from this point right here. Okay, so let me go ahead and put back in this because you're going to need that. Okay, opening sentence. So I want it to be an opening sentence that would make someone interested to read my paragraph about a zoetrope, because honestly, most people have never heard of one. They are not going to understand what one is by just seeing the word. They may not even want to read the paragraph because they're not going to have a clue what we're talking about. So I want my opening sentence to make someone interested in reading the paragraph. So I'm going to say something along these lines. I'm going to do zoetrope. I don't think it's supposed to be capitalized. Zoetrope is an old but very interesting toy. Okay? The zoetrope is an old but very interesting toy. So when I come down, I'm going to go ahead and do my closing sentence. Now, again, in a minute, I'm going to be erasing the closing sentence because you today will be creating your own closing sentence. But I'm going to go ahead and make one so that my paragraph will be complete. It needs to somewhat match. So if I'm introducing the paragraph with the zoetrope is an old but very interesting toy, I want this to kind of close it along those same lines. I could say something like, I am glad that I learned about this. Let me think about it. I'm glad that I learned about this. I've already used the word old, so maybe a simile to that. Because I'm just saying I don't want the word old because it's just going to be kind of boring. I'm glad I learned about this. Ooh, this is not always easy. I'm glad I learned about this. Oh, toy from long ago. That makes old. I mean, there was no rule that said I can't use old. I just didn't want to be boring. That's why. Okay, now I want those 3 sentences to be details, right? About the zoetrope. I'm going to pick boring details, guys, not because I would naturally pick the boring details, because there's a lot of fascinating details about the dancing movement. There's details about the all of the different things y'all saw, about the fishes that were swimming, about the clowns that were dancing on some of them, about the lights that you saw, about the spinning, about the fact that they're 200 years old. Because even when I look back, and of course I'm probably going to pop on something I don't want again, about even though there's details that tell me about illusions of motion, even though it tells me that people still develop them in the 21st century, even though there's details that I could have said about the fact that the Greek word for zoetrope means wheel of life or living wheel. There's all this detail that's out there that you all can use. It talks about inside as a band of individual images. There's detail that you could use, like the cylinder has slits in it. I'm not going to steal that kind of detail from you. I'm going to let you all have that for yourself to use here. But I'm going to use the boring one. So I got to say this zoetrope and I, so I don't want to use the or I. I can say some zoetropes and it's because I saw how tall they were, are a foot tall, because I noticed how tall some of them were. Some zoetropes are a foot tall. And see, guys, if you see one of them start out bold, you saw how dark that was. If you ever see that happen, just click on that B and make it go away. Okay, the B will make it go away. because I've noticed it's happened on several of them. Some zoetropes are a foot tall. There was one with a band that was black and white. So you got to find something that does not start with the, some, there, or I. I can actually start with the word zoetropes. Zoetrope. There goes my bold again. Let me back up and then hit the B. Zoetropes. Let me go back and look and see what I can get as a detail. Zoetropes spin. That's just 2 words. That's not very good. So I can put zoetropes have individual images. Zoetropes have individual. I'll put pictures. That way if one of y'all uses images, it won't sound like mine. Okay. All right. So I'm looking in my little sandbox. I'm checking everything out because I want everything to be able to get a 10 point down here. So right now I'm going to say, do I have an introductory sentence? The zoetrope is an old but very interesting toy. There's my opening sentence. Does it have correct capitalization? The, some, the, zoetrope, I, all those are capitals. Have I got correctly spaced words? Right now they are. I'm going to have to recheck that in just a minute when I get it up there. Do I have my closing sentence? I am glad that I learned about this toy from long ago. Yep. Did I start each sentence in the paragraph with a different word? The, some, their, zoetropes, and I. Yep, I did. Did I stay on topic? Yes. Everything here was about zoetropes. Did I have 5 sentences per paragraph? I made sure because that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I had at least 5. We can make more when we're doing paragraphs loosely. Have the number of paragraphs required for the assignment? Yeah, because I only had to do 1. Did I have correct punctuation? Period, 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 period. Ooh, that looks like a comma. Let me go backwards. I'm not positive about that. Period. Okay, I'm not sure if that was a period or a comma. It looked funny. Now, guys, you can retype all this above. If you understand how to copy and paste, you can copy and paste. If you don't, just retype it. It's not going to kill you to do that. But if you know how to copy and paste, that's fine. But remember, you've got to go back in, and this is the part you've got to know how to do. Everything that does not belong in the paragraph, you've got to get out. You've got to get out opening sentence. You've got to get out the 1. And, of course, it's going to change to another 1. You got to get out the numbers. Let's just put it that way. Get your numbers out. Then you've got to get out the word closing sentence. You cannot hand in a paragraph like this. That's not a paragraph. That's a list of sentences. That's not how paragraphs look. So I've got to go at the beginning of that sentence and backspace. You see how it goes over there? And then I'm going to put a little space in between. Then I got to go in the front of that sentence, backspace. I'm getting in front of this sentence and backspace. I'm going to have to put a little space so it's not crammed on there. Get in front of this sentence, backspace. And then click it and give it some more space. Now, that's a paragraph. Okay, that's a paragraph. There's space in the beginning. There's space afterwards. Remember, you may get a teacher who demands that you indent. If you do, indent. If your teacher says indent, indent. You do what your teacher tells you. This teacher is doing block indentation, meaning that I'm letting you have a space before and after your paragraph. Okay, that's how I do it, before and after your paragraph. I just happen to think it's neat, and I see it most people are doing online. This is how they do now. That's why I'm doing it that way. Let's listen to the paragraph. The zoetrope is an old but very interesting toy. Some zoetropes are a foot tall. There was one with a band that was black and white. Zoetropes have individual pictures. I am glad that I learned about this toy from long ago. Ta-da! Okay, so if I was a student, I could turn this in now, but I've got to go down below and make sure I'm going to get a 100 by turning it in. Did I have my introductory sentence? Yes. I could, and then I got to put a 10 there. Remember, you have to put your 10 in. I'm not going to do that the whole way down, but that's what you're doing. Every time you would have said yes, you put a 10 in. Did I still have my correct capitalization? Yes. Did I have my words spaced correctly? Yes, now I do. I backed everything up. It's not in a list of sentences. It's all in my paragraph. Everything's spaced out nice and neat. Do I have a closing sentence? Yes. It says, I am glad I learned about this toy from long ago. Did I start each sentence in the paragraph with a different word? Yes. And I checked that when I was down here. So I made sure. Did I stay on topic? We were positive about that. And did I have 5 sentences? Yep, we checked that out. Did I have the number of paragraphs? Yes, I only had to have 1. And did I have correct punctuation? I'm going to go back and make sure it's there. Period, 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 period. So everything now, if I was turning it in, I would make sure all my 10s were down there and that I had my total number of points needed to be 100. So let me get that out, because you don't definitely can put that 100 in yourself. But once that was all done, you would submit to me. You would submit to me. Now, keep in mind, with this assignment, listen to Miss Dean, with this assignment, your job this time is to give me the closing sentence that you create. So I'm getting rid of mine. And you're to give me 2 sentences that you create of details from the zoetrope. So you've got those 2 videos about the zoetrope where you can find detail, and you've got that little bit of a text about zoetropes to look at to get detail. And so you're getting from me now an opening sentence and a detail sentence. Then you're going to add a detail sentence, and a closing sentence. Then you're going to do your 10 points below and then submit to me. Little steps all along, but I know that you can do it because it's a very interesting item that you should be able to do very well with. All right. Thank you much.